LA Times Bill Shaikin joins us to discuss the increasing ticket prices at Dodgers Stadium. Also, when will the Dodgers go to a six-man rotation? We've got a big injury update. And should the Dodgers have kept Gavin Lux? All that more coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball. Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You guys wanted a parade? We got a parade. The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series. Starts the 50-50 clock. Monkey magic. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone. Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain, credential member of Dodgers Media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, and also drop your comments down below. But we've got a big show. We've got LA Times Bill Shaikin. He's joining us, and that's where we're going to start here on the leadoff.
Leading off, the hottest story in Dodger baseball.
So we are going to get right into this. If you have not read this piece by LA Times Bill Shaikin, definitely highly recommend it. We'll drop it down below in the comments, in the info. And it is about the increasingly high prices at Dodger Stadium, how much it costs to go to a Dodger game, how that's going up, and kind of Rob Manfred's comments about it. We'll talk about that. So, Bill, thanks for joining us here on Dodgers Dugout Live. And kind of the first thing I want to ask you is, you kind of look at some of the numbers here. You mentioned that the estimated price for a family of four to see a Dodgers game was $399.68. It's almost $400. That includes a couple hot dogs, a couple beers, a couple drinks, the cost to get in. Was that surprisingly high to you, or is that kind of what you expected considering the roster and just the thing, everything that the Dodgers have put together?
I think what stood out to me in that study is that most of the time when you hear studies about here's how much it costs to go to a game, it's done by resale sites who have an interest in promoting their product, of course. So they talk about 4 average price tickets. This study said, let's talk about the cheapest tickets. And so it sampled the cheapest tickets available from the team, not necessarily on a resale site, for a variety of days over the season. And it averaged out, in the case of the Dodgers, still to almost $400 for a family of four.
And you look at this roster, of course, it's going to be the most expensive roster in the history of the sport when you look at the talent and them being 3-time members of the going past the Cohen tax and the CBT and everything related to that. And look, Andrew Friedman said in the offseason that they are rewarding their fans by going after these players and putting together a roster like this. Is this the biggest reason why the ticket prices are high? Or is it, no, they just have a product that everyone wants to see, and you're seeing consistently 50,000 fans at Dodger Stadium?
Ticket prices are not a function of player salaries. Economists have studied this, people far smarter than I am. Ticket prices are simply a function, like everything else, of supply and demand. The Dodgers have a product that people demand because they win every single year. They have, as you mentioned, a lot of great players that people like to see. They have Shohei Ohtani, who is an international tourist attraction. They actually have thousands of fans that fly to Japan just to see him. There's the demand. So the prices go up.
And you look at all around Major League Baseball. Rob Manfred mentioned it in your piece that last year they sold a combined 71 million tickets. It was the most in 7 years. It feels like attendance is trending in the right direction and business really is booming league-wide.
It is. And if you look at the work Major League Baseball has done over the past several years, a lot of it is focused on getting to a more exciting product that fans want to watch, not just in LA, but all over the country. So if you're watching, say, the Marlins, not to pick on the Marlins, you're not going to see great players, but you are going to see a game in 2.5 hours. And a few years ago, you wouldn't have been able to do that. You're going to see more stolen bases. You're going to see less of the shifts, so hopefully more base hits. Those are things that fans want to see, and that's what the league has tried to do.
and they've had success with that. I think you look at the attendance has gone up. They've had some issues with kind of the regional sports networks that they're continuing to work on and kind of the deal with ESPN. But would you say right now, I mean, it is as healthy as it's been in years, and the Dodgers are just taking advantage of having a team that's embedded in a community that has a large fan base. And look, you're just seeing that because, I mean, look, if attendance was down, you had 30,000 fans at Dodgers games, then maybe they would change the ticket prices, right? But the fact is, they have lines outside of the stadium for bobblehead nights starting at 7 in the morning for a 7 o'clock game. You have fans that want to see this team. I mean, this feels like all-time high for the Dodgers.
Yeah, and look, they're probably going to sell 4 million tickets this year. If not, they're going to come very close. That would be a record for the Dodgers. And remember, they play in the largest stadium in baseball. So you can look at teams that get sellouts and you go, okay, but they're not selling 50,000 seats a night like the Dodgers have so far this year because they simply don't have 50,000 seats.
Yeah, and you look at, as you mentioned, I mean, they're on pace to eclipse that 4 million fans mark for the first time in franchise history. You've already had multiple games, 9 this season, where you're looking at a 50,000 fan attendance in a game. I mean, why would the Dodgers reduce ticket prices? Would it just be to say, okay, this is something for the community and kind of the betterment? Or do you think that maybe they should have programs or offer certain nights where it is a little cheaper? I thought it was really interesting, the part that you mentioned about the New York Yankees, who are another marquee franchise in a major market that do offer discounted tickets on certain nights and certain games.
Yeah, it's an uneasy balance, and I don't envy the Dodgers for it. On the one hand, as you mentioned, they've spent a ton of money to put basically an all-star team on the field every night, and they have fans that want to see that every night. So why not pay what the market says the ticket is worth? On the other hand, you say, what's the thing you do to develop a lifelong fan? And the research that the commissioner's office has told me about cites 2 things. One, did you play ball as a kid, play baseball, play softball, some sort of youth league? And number 2, did you go to games as a kid? And if you did those things, you're more likely to become a lifelong fan. So the question is, if you're pricing out families now, are you missing a chance to develop lifelong fans? But from the Dodgers' point of view, I understand one of the things the Dodgers did a few years ago, and other teams have done this too, is to figure out what are our tickets really worth? Because used to be you set the ticket price at the start of the season. That was it. Now they can adjust the ticket prices every day based on analytics, just like on the field, they have analytics in the front office, and they can see, what are the high demand games. So for example, if you wanted to get a ticket to Friday's game, at the beginning of the season, it would have cost you minimum $50. But guess who's pitching now Friday at Dodger Stadium, right? Paul Skeens. So now you can't get a ticket for under $100. There's no reason the Dodgers shouldn't take advantage of that because otherwise a broker would have. And for the Dodgers' point of view, who should make that extra $50? The broker or the Dodgers?
See, that's fascinating to me because, I mean, even if they did want to go out there and do something like the Yankees do with $10 tickets in certain times, and yes, it's not like there's hundreds and thousands of those tickets available, but they do exist. It's what you put in the pockets of the people that own the team, that are investing in the team versus, like you said, ticket brokers in secondary markets like that. So really, the demand really and how much interest in this team is really dictating this. It feels like that ultimately that there's such a market and such an appetite for this Dodgers team that's not really going to change. But I think the part of your article that kind of got Dodgers fans up in arms was the quote from Rob Manfred, where he said that the Angels could be a cost-effective alternative. He said that one of the leaders in terms of thinking about affordability has been the other team in Los Angeles. I think Dodgers fans are like, well, one, Anaheim is not in Los Angeles, right? Doesn't matter what it says in their name. It also feels like going to see the Dodgers and going to see the Angels are 2 very different products. To me, it's like when you're driving home and you ask your mom for McDonald's and she says, no, we have McDonald's at home. The Angels would be, hey, no, we got the food at home, right? Versus the McDonald's product. I mean, 2 different products there that would appeal to fans.
Well, it's 2 different experiences. I think what Rob was trying to say, like last year when the A's were on their way out of Oakland and somebody asked him, well, what are the fans in Oakland supposed to do? Don't you want them to remain baseball fans? And he said, it's not like we're leaving that market without a team, which was his way of saying the Giants are still there. And if you're an A's fan, that didn't really hit the right note for you. But he was right. There still is a team in the market. So I think what Rob is trying to say here is if your first priority is affordability, and if you see that it's hundreds of dollars to take your family to the Dodgers, are you shut out of Major League Baseball living here? And the answer is no, you're not. You can go to the Angels and buy their $44 family pack where you get 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, and 4 drinks. It might not be against the team you want to see. You certainly won't get to see Shohei Ohtani, but it is a Major League Baseball experience.
It is an option. It is an alternative. And in your mind, do you think that the Dodgers will kind of consider exploring possibilities of just getting a different level of fan, whether it be demographic, whether it be affordability rate, to get into Dodger Stadium, to do, as you said, open their eyes to Major League Baseball and create those lifelong fans and not look at it as, okay, this is the ticket price. This is just the benefit of having someone who's going to be interested in this team for 40, 50, 60 years throughout their life. Do you think they'll explore any possibilities to create a more affordable experience?
I talked to Stan Kasten about that, and he said, look, we try to do those things. We have programs. We have corporate partners that have programs. You can get sometimes free tickets, sometimes discount tickets. Community relations runs some programs. It's not impossible, but again, they've got a product that people want to see. So what the Dodgers would have to do is block out a bunch of tickets and say, yeah, we could get, I'm making a number up here, $100 for this ticket, but we'd rather sell it for 10. And you mentioned the Yankees are doing that. They don't sell very many tickets for $10, but they have some available. That's a token thing. It's a gesture to the community. Is that going to be a good thing if the Dodgers doing that? Or are you basically setting up a situation where 20,000 people line up and there's 1,000 tickets on sale for that game at that price? So it's not a perfect answer either way. The Dodgers have done a very nice job, I should say, with youth baseball and youth softball in the community. And as we talked about, that's one of the 2 key things in getting kids interested in becoming fans. So they're trying. They know it's an issue. There's no perfect answer.
Yeah, it feels like it's that they have the product that people want to come see, and the logistics of doing something like that could be chaotic. I mean, like you mentioned, having 30,000 fans show up, the secondary market, getting those tickets and them showing up. At the end of the day, they are making right by putting a team on the field that people love to come see. And that, at the end of the day, is I think what everyone wants. Even if, I mean, we have people that watch this show that don't go to any games. They live in like Kentucky and overseas, right? I think people just want to see their team win at the end of the day. So, hey, if you need to hire a financial planner or do something to get to a Dodger game a couple times a year, I think it's definitely worth it for sure.
Yeah, it's a little bittersweet. I talked to some fans, and maybe you did too, Doug, who after the Dodgers won and LA got its first parade since 1988, and everybody's pouring on the streets of downtown and taking the trains, and all the trains are packed with fans coming in from all over, that for some of those people, that was their look at the Dodgers in person. They did not get to go to a game. Everything was on TV. Again, there's no perfect answer, but it is something that is happening.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like me growing up in South Pasadena, I mean, I got to go to a good amount of games, but if you offered me the option of, hey, I get to go to one game a month or a couple games a year, but my team is winning the World Series and has Shohei Ohtani on it, versus, I don't know, going to like 20, 30 games with my team's in last place and there's $1 Dodger dogs, I'd take the 1 or 2 games and I just get to watch the rest on TV and read about in the paper. That's just me. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing like Dodger Stadium. I think for me too, you look at Dodger Stadium, always felt like it was the one thing that everyone kind of did. Like you go there with your classmates, summer camp, this and that. And then you would rarely go to a Laker game, right? I mean, you go to Laker games here and there, but it was like, it always felt like the Dodgers and Dodger Stadium was the one where everyone got to go. So it would be sad if that didn't exist moving forward. But I mean, they got the product that everyone wants to see.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up too. It was like summer was Dodger Stadium, Disneyland, and the Hollywood Bowl. Those are experiences that everybody who grows up here should have.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. But a great article, great piece as always. The great Bill Shaikin joining us. You can follow him over on the X, and definitely go out there, read that article, because look, at the end of the day, the Dodgers and Dodger Stadium is the place to be. They're the team to watch, and it is not cheap, but they're giving us a lot of entertainment and joy throughout the season. But Bill, thank you so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, Doug.
You got it. Well, there he is. I kind of go back to that piece where he's talking about Rob Manfred, and we're going to talk about that next. We're going to talk about Rob Manfred, his thoughts on where you should go see a baseball game, your alternatives, and also we're going to talk about Gavin Lux and some other Dodgers on other teams, how they're faring this season, and then we'll also talk about when the Dodgers could go to a 6-man rotation. That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live.
What's up, Dodgers Nation? J-Rob here, and I'm hyped to announce our brand new series coming to the platform, the Dodger Fan Cave Series. In this series, we'll be looking across the country for the best Dodger fan caves that you all have to offer. I don't care how big, how small. I don't care if it's a bedroom, a bathroom, a basement, even a small shrine in your office. If it's about the Dodgers, we want to see it. Every week, we'll be taking your submissions, putting them in a competition-style vlog, and selecting a winner. That lucky winner will not only get a Dodgers Nation certified fan cave certificate, but you'll also be featured on the Dodgers Nation platform, specifically YouTube, and maybe on your favorite live show. Shout out to Dodgers Dugout. If you want to be a part of this, all I need from you is 5 to 8 submissions via WeTransfer. I need 5 to 8 4K submissions, photos, videos, and if you can give me a small story about your shrine, maybe a special item in there, maybe something that has some sort of sentimental value, or even something crazy that most Dodgers fans haven't seen before. We really want to see that Dodger pride shine in this series. I want to see those jerseys, bobbleheads, big murals, paintings, whatever it is. Send those submissions to Dodgers Nation and make sure you get them to me through WeTransfer, and maybe you'll be featured on an episode soon. Peace.
And welcome back to Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube. So, yeah, I got some comments down below. A lot of guys talking about what Bill Shaikin had to say. And, yeah, look, it's expensive. You make no mistake about it. It's very, very expensive to go to a Dodger game. There's no doubt about it. It's also a great experience. And there's a lot of fans that are willing to pay that price. So that's what they're going to charge. And if they're not charging that price, the aftermarket is going to reap the benefits and they're going to profit. So that's my biggest takeaway there is that detail. But I do think, Rob Manfred's got to be the most tone deaf commissioner in sports. The fact that you would say, oh, yeah, you want to go to a Dodger game? It's okay. You can't afford that. Just go to an Angel game. It's the same thing. They're Wish.com Dodgers, right? It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Going to an Angels game instead of going to a Dodgers game, when you're expecting a Dodgers game, it'd be like me telling a kid, hey, I'm going to take you to Disneyland, and instead of taking you to Disneyland, I just take you to a Vaughn's and have you ride the little horsey ride that I put quarters in outside of the grocery store. That to me would be the equivalent of that. I just don't think that is equivalent at all. It's, hey, Mom, can we have McDonald's? No, we got food at home. The food at home, that's the Angels compared to the Dodgers, right? It's the bowl of Cheerios with the piece of cheese in there and a couple of hot dogs, right? No, it's not the same. But yeah, look, baseball is on the upswing. It's trending in the right direction as far as popularity and ticket prices go. So yeah, interesting. And yeah, definitely go and read that piece. Really fascinating stuff by the great Bill Shaikin of the LA Times. So we got lots to get into here on Dodgers Dugout Live. And we got some injury stuff we're going to get into. But next thing I want to do, a new little segment we're going to start doing here. And it is where we check in on our old friends. The old friend alert. The once a Dodger, always a Dodger players. How are the former Dodgers doing around the league? It's fun to look at. It's not just to say, oh, we wish they were still Dodgers or anything like that. But how about Cody Bellinger on the New York Yankees and not having a great year, hitting 179, 237, 313. He has homered in the last 3 420s. So I think that's definitely a thing for sure. But not having a great year so far. But he is hitting homers occasionally. He did hit a home run off Ryan Pepio on Sunday, which I find interesting. A little former Dodger on Dodger crime right there. Cody Bellinger's a high variance player. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get. You just saw Russell Westbrook in the playoffs. People saying he is the item box from Mario Kart. that's a little bit of that for Cody Bellinger as well, right? Now, the guy I want to talk about, though, is Gavin Lux. Now, Gavin Lux has been one of the most polarizing players in recent memory when it comes to the Dodgers because of his prospect status. He was not only the top prospect in the Dodgers organization, he was a top prospect in all of Major League Baseball at one point. He had his ups and downs, dealt with some injuries throughout the years. Last year, he did play a nice role in this team, and he did give the Dodgers someone at the bottom of the lineup that could get on base, they could put some ducks on the pond, that could help the Dodgers score runs when they put Shohei Ohtani at the leadoff spot. And I think you look at Gavin Lux's career with the Dodgers and kind of the moment you'll think of in 2024 was in the World Series. And what he did in the World Series when he had a very pivotal RBI. Never forget the RBI that he had off of Weaver there in the top of the 8th inning. He kept it off the ground. He flied out to center. That scored Kike. That tied things at 6. And a couple batters later, Mookie Betts hit a sac fly to center that put the Dodgers up 7-6, and the rest was history. The Dodgers went on to win the World Series. But the Dodgers, they decided to trade him this offseason. And they traded for Mike Sirota, a prospect who I interviewed on this show. He's had a really nice start down at the minor league level. I am a believer in his upside. But one of the big issues for the Dodgers to start this season is the lack of production from the bottom of the lineup. And we talked about it on yesterday's show. The 7, 8, 9 hitters have just not gotten on base enough to give the Dodgers run scoring opportunities for the top of the lineup. You have guys like Michael Conforto and Andy Pages, Miguel Rojas, Max Muncy. These guys have been below average collectively offensively when they've been given opportunities. Kike Hernandez, the on-base percentage has been low. And I do think that those guys are going to perform better. I think it's still too early to make drastic changes, especially to your veterans. I had someone in the chat ask me yesterday about Alex Freeland. Yes, Alex Freeland is improving a lot as a hitter. He's growing a lot as a hitter down at the minor league level. But let's not forget, anytime you bring a young player up, you limit his at-bats unless he's a starter, unless he carves out a role as an everyday player. So I think you would stunt Alex Freeland's growth by bringing him up and stuffing him on the bench. You just don't want to stash him on the bench when he's not going to get those everyday at-bats. And yes, he is intriguing, but it's still too early. And then you look at another guy down there too. I mean, would you put a Max Muncy or a Michael Conforto? Would you put some of those guys on the bench? Yes, that would improve your bench. And right now, there's not a lot of guys on the bench that you can say, oh, he can go up there and give me a hit at any given time, right? It's below average production on the bench as well. So it would improve your bench, but it's still way too early to talk about that. I mean, they signed Michael Conforto to be a starter for them. They gave him $17 million to be an above average hitter. And yes, he's had a rough go of it in the last couple of weeks, but overall, he's still an above average hitter. And I still think that he's going to be productive for this team. But getting to Gavin Lux, if you look at Lux's numbers this season, he's hitting .315. But what I look at is the on base, a .419 on base for Gavin Lux. A .419 on base for Gavin Lux. I'm pretty sure the Dodgers would love to have a guy right now that's getting on base at a 41% clip. That would definitely help this Dodgers team significantly. If Gavin Lux was on the Dodgers, he would have the best on-base percentage on the team. In fact, he would have the only on-base percentage that is over 400. The highest on base right now for the Dodgers is Shohei at 375, followed by Mookie at 356. But if you look at the bottom of that lineup, and of course you can talk about Will Smith, who hasn't qualified yet with that bats, but still he's at 443. So Will Smith, when runners are on, he's been phenomenal. So you can include him. But as far as qualified, he needs a little more at bats, but still, I mean, he's been really great to start this season. Smitty hitting 339, slugging 500 with a 443 on base. But you look at the guys batting down below in the lineup. Andy Pages at 274 on base. Max Muncy, 291 on base. Chris Taylor at 250 on base. Kike at 200 on base. Rojas, 171 on base. So there's not a lot of guys. I mean, Conforto at 341 on base. Not a lot of guys down there that you love that production. You look at the Dodgers as a team, they are 16th in the sport with a 311 on base percentage. So yeah, if there's an area that Gavin Lux would be helping this team this year, it would be getting on base and helping them score runs. And then you look at his overall production, Lux is hitting 136 weighted runs created plus. So he's been 36% above league average. He was the league average last year after the really slow start in the hot couple months he had after the All-Star break. But I do look at a number that tells me that if you were jumping the gun on Gavin Lux and saying, oh, the Dodgers made this huge mistake, why'd they trade Gavin Lux? He's hitting 315. He's getting on base at a 419 on base and a 425 slug. And you look at those numbers, 843 OPS. I will remind you that Gavin Lux has a 440 batting average on balls in play. That is a major, major number right there. And at some point, you'll see that even out. He is taking more walks. The walk rate is up. The strikeout rate is up a little too. He's been batting cleanup for them in certain spots. So I still think it's early. And will they regret it? It's time will tell. If he sustained this for an entire season and the Dodgers didn't get very much production from the bottom of their lineup and Ha-Seong Kim doesn't come up and produce like the organization hopes, then yeah, maybe you could say that they will learn to regret it and live to regret it. But I still think it's early. It still's early, and we'll see if those numbers even out. I think that Gavin Lux is a streaky hitter, as we've seen throughout his career, and it looks like that streak early on has been aided by just, hey, good expected numbers, and when the ball's been hit and play, he's been fortunate in a lot of different ways. But even his isolated power, though, is down, would be a career low 110. So he's not hitting for much power, so you have to mention that as well. So far on the season, he has one home run, just hit his first home run. So I still think that as productive as Gavin Lux has been early on this season, I still think that the Dodgers' plan still makes sense, because with the Dodgers, he wasn't able to play shortstop because he wasn't able to get past the mental hurdles and just the ability to make those throws, to set his feet. That put the Dodgers in a position where they had to have Mookie Betts at shortstop. And the fact remains, if you don't play multiple positions on the Dodgers, you have to be able to hit at an elite level, at an all-star level for it to make sense. Teoscar, they see him as an all-star level hitter. And he's done that, right? He's the Teoscar Hernandez, right? He made the all-star team last year. It made sense. Michael Ford, they see him as an above-average guy that can get you 20-plus home runs. For Gavin Lux, I don't think they view him in that light, where he can slug at a level they were hoping, and he doesn't play multiple positions. So there's that, and they had an opportunity to bring in a player that has shown a lot of promise down at the minor league level, and that is Ha-Seong Kim. And I think that with Ha-Seong Kim, there's a guy that has the potential to help this team for more years than Gavin Lux could, because Gavin Lux, he is under team control for this season and next season. So you would get Gavin Lux for 2 more years. But with Ha-Seong Kim, if you look at the way his contract is structured, he's guaranteed $2.5 million this year, $3.75 million in 2026, $3.75 million in 2027. And the Dodgers have a 2-year club option for 2028 and 29 that's worth $5 million per season. And they have to exercise that option right after the 2027 season. So I still think that the potential for Ha-Seong Kim, who's also a left-handed hitter, but he's faster, plays more positions defensively, can play shortstop, can play second base, can play in the outfield, and can also hit for contact. So I still think that this was the right move for the Dodgers. It's nice to see Gavin Lux having success. Maybe you guys disagree with me, but I don't view this as a mistake. I don't think, oh, we're going to live to regret. Man, Gavin Lux is going to be like trading away Mookie Betts for the Red Sox, or the Mavs trading away Luka Doncic. No, absolutely not. I think it's marginal at best. But now let's get into some injury updates and drop your takes down below on Gavin Lux. Will the Dodgers regret trading Gavin Lux? I don't think they will. I still want to see, like, give me the grab bag player, right? You guys love grab bags. I do. You just never know what you're going to get. And I think that is what Haesung Kim is, right? I think he's that grab bag, right? And I think he has the potential to be a versatile, productive player for multiple years for this team. But now let's get into the injury update for this week. And we are going to start with Blake Snell. So some positive news on Blake Snell. He continues to throw. He was placed on the 15-day IL with left shoulder inflammation on April 6th. It was retroactive to April 3rd. And he did undergo an MRI that showed no structural damage in his shoulder. He was recommended rest instead of surgery, instead of a lengthy rehab stint. So the doctors have said, look, we've seen it. It's nothing major. You need to rest, and you'll get past this, and this won't have any lingering effects. Now, Snell did resume playing catch last week. He threw his first bullpen session this past Saturday. He's going to throw another one this week. And then he's also going to, hopefully at some point, face hitters in a simulated game, and that's all he's going to need. So I think the perfect plan for Blake Snell is simulated hitters, getting rest, and getting right, and hopefully he's back to 100%. He did say recently he's 32, he's not 23, that he just wants to pitch, and there has been some lingering soreness, but I do think that this is going to be minimal. And he has only thrown 9 innings. He's made just 2 starts. He's given up just 2 runs, but the strikeout to walks, they've been out of whack. 4 strikeouts to 8 walks. So I'm expecting him to return by the end of this month. I think that's what we're going to see. We could see him for the series on the road against the Braves. I think that is what we're going to see with Blake Snell. And then there is Blake Trinan. So let's talk about the other Blake. He's on the 15-day IL, was placed there on April 19th with a right forearm strain. They took imaging that showed a low-grade sprain, and Dave Roberts said that he's going to rest for now, and they are going to reevaluate him later. So I think they're going to slow play Blake Trinan. Going to be a couple of months. Hopefully, he'll be back to 100%, but they're not going to rush him back. And the good thing is, you lose Blake Trinan, but you bring back another high-leverage reliever in Evan Phillips. So it's not like they're going to miss too much as long as Evan Phillips can stay healthy. And then there's Michael Kopech that they're hoping to get back soon too, who's been on the IL with the right shoulder impingement. He threw a bullpen on April 15th. It was his second since they put a halt to his buildup back during spring training. I expect to see Michael Kopech back at some point in the month of May. And then there is Tony Gonsolin. So Tony Gonsolin is the interesting one. I see the Doug, you choking on a glizzy. That's from Jose. No, I had some D-Mac quarter pound of your good food. Yeah, I'm good. I'm totally good. Little carrots. I ate my carrots before the show. But yeah, we're totally good. I'm not choking. I'm not the Padres and the DS, right? I'm not going to choke here. Okay, we got Tony Gonsolin though. He was placed on the 15-day IL on March 18th, and when he was placed on that 15-day IL, it looked like it was going to be minor, right? It looked like it was not going to take a lot of time. He strained his back during a weightlifting session during spring training. But I think with the fact that he's coming back off of Tommy John surgery, Dustin May pitching well early on in the season, they did not want to rush him back in any way, shape, or form, and they've continued to build him up. His last rehab start, he threw 66 pitches, threw 43 strikes, went 4 innings, gave up 3 runs on 6 hits, had 3 earned runs, had 5 strikeouts and 1 walk. Then before that, he threw 46 pitches, got 14 swinging strikes, 12 of those coming via that splitter. So the second rehab start, 46 pitches. Third rehab start, 66 pitches. So I think tonight, hopefully, when he goes tonight for Oklahoma City, you'll see him in the 80 range. And when he's built up to 5 or 6 innings, which Dave Roberts has already said is what they're trying to stretch him out to, they're going to bring him back. So the velocity's been good. The stuff has played. I think that you're going to see him back later this month as well. I think that he's going to be back in April. And the big question when he comes back, and something that I've been saying on this show for over a month now, is that when Tony Gonsolin returns to the rotation, I think the Dodgers are going to go to a 6-man rotation even before Shohei Ohtani's back. So the big impetus for bringing the 6-man rotation to reality here, and they've had a pseudo 6-man rotation for the last couple years off and on during certain parts if there was a schedule that they needed to go to it, and they've done it, but I think committing to it is a whole different thing. And Shohei, of course, has the Shohei Ohtani rule, where when Shohei's pitching, it's like a cheat code from a roster construction standpoint because he does not count against your relievers. So you get to have 6 starters and 8 relievers. So essentially, you get 1 extra pitcher than any team in Major League Baseball. If you want that advantage, well, go sign a unicorn because that's what the Dodgers did. But if you go to a 6-man rotation before Shohei Ohtani comes back and you go to it when Tony Gonsolin returns, well, you would have 7 relievers and 6 starters and 13 pitchers. But let's look at the Dodgers rotation. Who do you bump? Yamamoto, legitimate Cy Young contender. He's gone 6 innings, 6 innings, and 7 innings in his last 3 starts. Rogi Sasaki, 4 innings, 5 innings, and now 6 innings, his career high this past weekend against the Rangers. He's not going anywhere. Tyler Glasnow has had some bad luck. You've had the rain, which limited his ability to get traction on his cleats, couldn't plant in Philly, and then he dealt with the leg cramps in his last start against Texas. Dave said he's making his next start, so there's 3. Dustin May has continued to look more and more comfortable out there, more and more effective out there, and he's made a 6-inning start in last of his last 2. So he's gone 6 in his last 2 starts. Then when Blake Snell comes back, he's a workhorse. That has you at 5. And then Tony Gonsolin built up to 5 or 6 innings. He's the guy, right? So yes, he does have an option year remaining. And I do think there could be certain spots to where you can use that option on him throughout the season. But really, you look at this Dodgers rotation, there aren't guys that have options outside of Roki and Tony Gonsolin. And they're not going to do that to Roki because they like the progression that he's on. Tony Gonsolin, they could maintain some flexibility with it. But I think when you look at the Dodgers' schedule and the way it lines up, that they're in line for a 6-man rotation because they have quality, they have depth, and they can count on these guys to go at least 6. Look, if you don't have the talent and depth that the Dodgers have, and you don't trust your back-end guys to go 5, 6, or 7 innings, well, with 7 relievers, you're in big trouble. But I think when you look at the schedule, the way it lines up for the Dodgers, you got today against the Cubs, and then Wednesday against the Cubs. It's a 2-game series, a little small 2-game set, of course, after you start the season against them in Tokyo. That kind of changed up the schedule. Well, then you got a 6-game homestand. You got 3 against the Pirates, 3 against the Marlins, and then you jump to the month of May. You get the day off on Thursday, and then it's Atlanta for 3 on the road from May 2nd through the 4th, and then 3 games against the Marlins in Miami, and then a 4-game series against the Diamondbacks. So that is a lengthy road trip right there. You got 3, 6, and then you got 4 against the Diamondbacks. So that's huge, right? And that's a long series. That's definitely going to require a 6-man rotation. You got 11 games on the road, then you get a day off, and then you get a homestand, 3 against the A's, 2 against the Angels, 4 against the Diamondbacks. So a 9-game home series. So I think that is what they're going to do. And it makes a lot of sense. We've talked about it here pretty extensively for the last month or so, just because you look at where this bullpen is and who's in there. I mean, Luis Garcia, if Blake Trinan did not get injured, he would have been DFA'd. He would have been DFA'd when Evan Phillips came off the IL. But he has provided some value. He has 8 innings, but he's not someone that's going to be a part of this bullpen for a long stretch. And I think that you look at some of the other guys, the spot start guys, the Landon Knacks, the Justin Robleskis, the Bobby Millers, they've all had struggles in their starts. So they're going to use those spot starts occasionally, but I do think that they're going to want to see what they have in Tony Gonsolin. And look, the funny thing about all this is you guys know following this team, trying to just say the Dodgers rotation is going to be fully healthy. They find every piece of wood in your house to knock on right now. It's a good problem to have, but I think that's what they're going to do. So let me know down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the Dodgers going to a 6-man rotation before Shohei Ohtani comes back? And then Clayton Kershaw. So with Clayton Kershaw, he was placed on the 60-day IL on March 18th. He's still making his way back from a left toe and left knee surgery that he had in the offseason. He pitched 3 scoreless innings in his first rehab start for AAA Oklahoma City on April 16th. He can't come back until May. And when he does, you got that roster spot that you just freed up thanks to the DFA of Eddie Rosario. And you have other 60-day guys you're going to need back at some point, guys like Brusdar Graterol. But when he comes back, then what do? Then do you look to option Tony Gonsolin for a start and then put Clayton Kershaw in there? Look, it's a champagne problem. It remains to be seen. But Paul Nanny says, can we get rid of Garcia and bring back Honeywell? And I would love to fear the turtleneck. There's not a lot of guys down there that you can count on that have that kind of, they give you that depth, that veteran depth, right? That would be worth giving a 40-man roster spot to and having them option potentially. Giovanni Gallegos was someone they were really high on as far as a reclamation project that was really good. Then he got injured. So really not a ton of guys down there that they can count on. But yeah, coming up next, guys, we're going to jump into the 7th inning stretch. And I want to hear what you guys have to say about, will the Dodgers regret trading Gavin Lux? Do you like the idea of a 6-man rotation? Let me know down below. But let's jump into it next here on the 7th inning stretch.
The 7th inning stretch.
All right, we got Zappa. They will eventually begin to slow May's innings pitched. He's not going wire to wire. He will be inserted into BP come the stretch run. 6-man down the stretch will be Yama, Roki, Snell, Glasnow, Shohei, and Gonzo. So you got no Clayton Kershaw in there. And that's pretty interesting to me because when Clayton Kershaw comes back, I think that they'll slow play him. And then Shohei Ohtani, when he comes back, the beautiful thing is then you can stretch out the roster and have 14 pitchers, 6 pitchers, and 8 relievers. And the latest on Shohei Ohtani, he was on Jim Rome. We talked about that yesterday, is that Shohei Ohtani is not expected to be back for a couple of months. So that is the latest on Shohei Ohtani. And like Bob Nightingale said on this show, if they needed him to pitch, if they did need him to pitch, he would be an option, but they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. They are going to slow play him. It's all about October. They want to make sure that the bat is still there and they don't want to put too much stress on him. But Dave Roberts was on Jim Rome and he said that Ohtani's look great. It's easy velocity. And this guy, he's the unicorn. He's a physical. He's big. He's throwing his fastball, 4-seam, 2-seam, his splitter. He's kind of easy at 92 to 93 miles per hour. He had a light bullpen the other day. He has a full one on Saturday. Hopefully, he'll start facing hitters. So that's what we need to see from him next, is him facing hitters. But as far as the time of return, Dave said we're still a couple of months away. I know that's still vague. We're just trying to get to the next step and see where we're at. Certainly expect him to pitch for us this year and through the postseason. So I look at that last word. It's the postseason. That is what it's all about. But I do think that the storylines from this are, one, does he make double-digit starts this year? And if he does not, or if he struggles in those starts and he's not having the elite offensive season, does he still run away with the MVP? I think that Shohei is going to catch fire. It's not like he's not putting up all-star numbers because he still is 150 weighted runs created plus, 50% above league average. But last year he was at 181%. Right? I mean, he was at 81%, a 181 weighted runs created plus. So when Shohei is at its best, it's almost like he's 2 players at the plate. When you're 200 weighted runs created plus, that means you're 100% above league average. It's like having two guys at the plate when it comes to offensive production and how you impact the game. So when he comes back, it's going to figure itself out. But I think the difference between this year and years past is the Dodgers actually can fill out a 6-man rotation even if they're not at full strength. That's the biggest difference, just because of the depth pieces they have down at the minor league level and the guys they're getting back. So they're going to have to make a decision what they do, because Kopech, Phillips, Trinan, Bruzdar, a lot of these guys are going to be rounding in the form, and we'll see how the Jack Dryers and Anthony Bondas and those type of guys hold up throughout the season, because we know Tanner Scott, he's in that role. We know the bigger guys like Evan Phillips and Blake Trinan, those guys have solidified roles, but this is something that they've put a lot of time and effort in mapping out. And it's based on the schedule. It's based on how deep guys can go. And the number one thing here is with Yamamoto to make sure that guys like him and Roki, that they're peaking at the right time. Yamamoto isn't going to be able to pitch on 6 days rest, 5 days rest in the postseason, right? And we saw last year, Yamamoto pitched on 5 days rest 11 different times. So they want to make sure that he's ramping up, but it's not a linear line. It's a little of a curve, right? You want to kind of slope it up, and then you'll start to see Yamamoto make starts during the season on shorter rest than he's used to, and not pitching just once a week, every single week, and then he'll be in a good spot when it comes around. We got Darren Shepherd going to the baby Dodgers, a.k.a. Comets, tonight here in Salt Lake City. Looks like Bobby Miller is set to start. I was hoping for Kershaw. We got Roy Estrada. What's the weather like in Chicago? Does it call for rain? Let's see. It's the windy city. Is it the rainy city today? We'll definitely take a look at that. So let's see here. Don't know if it's raining in Chicago. Let's take a look here. It's definitely a nice day. It says it's mostly cloudy, 61. It does say there could be some rain, though. It does show some rain as a possibility. So we'll see. We've got Nando Kershaw coming back to only last one inning while giving up 7 runs. Bruh. Why you got to disrespect the go like that? A.U. Potter, Ohtani could still hit and hit well with even more home runs before his second elbow surgery during the remaining season in 2023. SK, anyone going to the Yamamoto versus Skeens game, should be a great game. Yeah, I will be in attendance. That is going to be absolutely electric to have Paul Skeens, Southern California kid, at Dodger Stadium, packed house. Cannot wait for that. That's going to be absolutely electric. Cannot wait to see Paul Skeens, and I think it's going to be box office for sure. Don Kim, hearing D-Mac's questions on Sportsnet postgame show is the best part. Hey, what's up? I appreciate you, Don Kim. You know, I like to jump in there, see what's up, try to get information for you guys. To be honest with you, I'm with you guys. I mean, I'm in there kind of representing all of us, you know. We got the J Silva Lux needed a new start. He was overshadowed by all the stars. Interesting take. I do think that being in a hitter's park, he's from the Midwest, he's in the Great American Small Park in Cincy. I think there's all these little factors that are contributing to him having a good start. But yeah, I mean, I do think that playing with a lot of stars and playing with an organization that has these expectations, it can't wear on you. But I like to think that maybe it's those adjustments that he made last season with Uncle Augie. But yeah, it's going to be exciting to see him get his ring at some point this season. BT Fouts, Dodgers win 16-0 tonight at Wrigley. Yeah, there's another thing too. The Dodgers, you're going to see a bullpen game on Wednesday. And in that game, we'll see. I mean, Noah Davis has been on the roster for almost a week, it feels like, and we haven't seen him yet. So I'm sure that you'll see him at some point, and we'll see what the roster move will be after that. Will they be done with him? And then will Matt Sauer get an opportunity? They're going to use those fringy bullpen pieces like that. That's how they're going to use them throughout the season. So I expect to see him in some capacity for the bullpen game for the Dodgers. And we got Mr. Seabat, DMAC commissioned a study what happens to ticket prices when the Dodgers play in small markets, e.g. Pittsburgh, Miami, prices go up, attendance go up? It's a good question. I would expect on the secondary markets, especially last year when Shohei was hitting his 50-50 mark right there and going for the 50 home runs, the 50 stolen bases, that in Miami, ticket prices went up just for the simple fact that there's Dodgers fans everywhere. So I think considering that, they probably were up. But look, business is business, man. What would you guys do if you own the team? I think that's kind of the interesting question. I personally, I like it. I want to see as many people go to Dodgers games as possible because it's a great experience. Jazz Flute, pay back the Cubbies with a whole lot of slamma, lamma, ding dong. Give that a comment of the show. Comment of the show for right there. You got Richard, who's starting tonight, Dustin May. It's Dustin May and Shota Imanaga. So Imanaga, we saw him in Tokyo, and you got Dustin May on the mound supporting that 1.06 ERA. Imanaga, a 2.22 ERA. He's pitched well. And tomorrow you got Matthew Boyd on the mound, who had success against the Dodgers. He sports a 2.01 ERA, 20 strikeouts on the year, and you'll see a bullpen game for the Dodgers. We got Lux was one of my favorite players from Steve Schmidt. The chalk outline where Lux hit the wall was classic. Yeah, that was hilarious. That one game where Lux hit the wall, hurt his ribs, then he was out. Then the very next game, the Dodgers, they did a little tape outline of where he hit the wall, and you had the players go out there and pay their respects. I remember it was AJ Pollock and Mookie Betts and Cody Bellinger, and Gavin Lux was laughing. It was a great time for sure. Jeremy H., the Dodgers are fourth in run differential in the NL West. Offense has been weak. Yeah, we talked about that for sure. I mean, how the offense needs to be who they are. And that's one of the dynamic offenses in the sport that works pitchers and gets starters out of games and doesn't need to only beat you with home runs. Right now, well over 50% of their runs have come via that home run ball. But I think the beauty of all this is, look, the Dodgers are still in first place, 16-7. I mean, the Padres is the run over. They need to pack it in. I don't know. But you're at 16-7. You haven't really come close to playing your best baseball, yet you still have the best record in the sport. I think you consider that, and you have to feel good about where you are as a team, because we know the summer run's coming. We know the Dodgers summer is coming. And the Dodgers summer is filled with tons and tons of dubs and lots of Randy Newman playing I Love LA all throughout the summer. And that's when the wins start to really pile up, for sure. D-Mac, stop hiding those quads, big dog. Okay, I'm going to give a bruh for that. Bruh. Quadzilla. SK, a good commissioner would have stripped the Astros of the World Series. Yeah, amen to that. Amen to that, for sure. Give you a let's go Dodgers. We've got Aaron M. Should have kept Jack Flaherty and Walker. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you look at Walker Buehler, could talk about him a little bit too. We're going to start doing that segment every week, the old friend alert. Walker Buehler on the year, a 4.23 ERA, 3.83 expected ERA. Strikeouts aren't great. I mean, Walker Buehler has been just kind of okay, hasn't been great. And you look at Jack Flaherty, it never made sense with Jack Flaherty just because of the deal that he wanted. But Flaherty has been really good for sure. A 2.53 ERA. Expected stuff isn't great, so I expect that to balance out. So I'm totally fine with the Dodgers not bringing back Walker Buehler and Jack Flaherty, especially when you consider the fact that they were replaced with Roki Sasaki and Blake Snell. The Dodgers upgrade their rotation this offseason, and it's all based on if they can stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, then they will be just fine. Okay, let's hit some more comments here. Looking for some comments of the show here on Dodgers Dugout Live. Appreciate you guys always dropping those comments. If you haven't yet, I'm going to be dropping a lot of comments in the Discord. So join that Discord for sure. And also drop your predictions tonight. Who's going yard for the Dodgers? Are they taking the win? Give me a score prediction. And if you get it right, I'll give you a shout out on the post-game show after the game tonight. Pocket Rude Boy 199. Appreciate that. Steve Schmidt says, who are the Padres? Finish him. We've got Aaron M. Lots of panda meals to come. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a busy Panda Express all summer for sure. Mr. Classic Gavin Lux, bruh. He's to be on here forever. Yeah, I know. I know I've talked about replacing it. Send me some clips, guys. I think I got a good Ohtani one that I might replace it with. Roki and his lost velocity. That's from Frankie_Zito. Yeah, look, we talked about it on the show yesterday. Was Roki's velocity down? It was. But what Roki is doing, and what I've been told, is that he's sacrificing velocity right now for command. He's trying to stay in the zone, and by establishing that fastball and getting ahead in counts, that is what allowed that slider to be as effective as we've ever seen it in his last start against the Rangers. And the splitter, the fork, the dragon fork is still going to be extremely effective. So it's not because he's not healthy. It's because they're saying, okay, let's kind of simplify the mechanics to where you're throwing strikes. And once we feel really good about the consistency of the strike throwing, of the command, of the mechanics, then we can pump it up. Because let's not act like he hasn't thrown 100 miles per hour this season. We saw his first punch out when he got Suzuki in Tokyo. He was hitting triple digits. But I think they kind of took a step back to take a couple big steps forward in the next couple of months. So that is the explanation for why the velocity has been down with Roki Sasaki. Some score predictions here. Claudia 11, Dodgers 5, Cubs 3, Paul Dodgers 6, Cubs 2, Mario Landaverdi, Tommy Tanks going deep. Like that. I like that. Game postponed. That's Roy Estrada's prediction. I like that. It's a smart take. We got Jesse Gonzalez, Glass now, Glassman, Glass later. Dodgers in 5. That's the comment of the show. It's the comment of the show. We'll put that on X. We'll put that on Instagram. Appreciate you rocking with us. Jesse Gonzalez over on YouTube. See some more. Looking for some more comments of the show. Anything you got that's crazy. Hot takes, funny stuff, burns. You guys know how we get down. We got Scott says Dodgers 1, Cubs 4. We got Mr. Classic. I'm like dying here. We need your bats. We had 10-1 Dodgers from Joe Mama. Steve Schmidt, velocity is overemphasized. Location. That's from Steve Schmidt. Yeah, absolutely. Just like great real estate, right? Location. Justin Lamas, rain 5, Dodgers and Cubs 0. I like that one. That's a good one. It's another comment of the show right there. Let's get some more here. We got Den and Rennie Adventures. Dodgers just need to be consistent and know that everyone is after them and they will compete. Ninja Squirrel 30 says offense needs to step up. However, when 4 of your lineup is not on base and you don't hit homers, this is going to lead to struggles. We cannot go on like this. Upgrades needed in 3 positions. Yeah, look, they're still in the evaluation phase. They're still in the, okay, what do we have now? And if we have to go out and go to market or make some moves, then we'll at least have a big sample size to know that we did the right thing. Bilal K, half the league seems like they're ex-Dodgers. It does feel like that, right? JY Kim, a super chat. I want to show you some love here. Thank you for re-clarifying the Roki velocity question. He's adjusting really well and will pleasantly be surprised by his performance in the postseason. Yeah, I definitely just want to make sure that fans know that the velocity decrease is not because he's injured or he doesn't have it or mechanically they haven't refined things like they had hoped. No, it's because he's trying to stay in the zone. He understands you have to have command. If you want to be the man, you have to have the command. And for him, taking a little off of the velo allows him to stay in the zone. And look, I think it's a good thing because now we know that Roki Sasaki is not Noah Syndergaard, right? Who's completely velocity reliant, right? We know that Roki Sasaki can go out there when he doesn't have his best fastball and limit a offense like the Texas Rangers. So he can still be effective and not have that explosive heater. So I think that's definitely a positive sign for sure. Okay, I want to see Shota Imanaga broken. Classic over there. We got Dodgers win 3-2 versus the Cubs. Do you think we take a flyer on Tristan McKenzie? That's for Matt. Personally, don't think so right now. Interesting name. But all right, guys, so coming up on the walk-off, got something fun. We'll hit that next here on the walk-off.
The walk-off.
All right, so I don't know if you guys saw this, but Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, they were killing time after the game, and they had a little juggling contest, and they wanted to see who was a better juggler, who could juggle for longer. And I'm going to go up against Blake Snell and Yamamoto. I think Yamamoto hit 42 seconds. So let's see. We're going to do a little juggling contest here.
Ready? And go.
Oh.
No, quick. Tell them fast. Quick. Now slow it down.
All right, you versus Blake.
Almost had it. Almost had it.
Why is this more pressure than pitch?
But no, you know what? Look, I'll go around too. Once I see him in person, I got the tricks down too. I can do the columns. I can do the overthrows. That's just kind of like basic stuff right there. But really cool to see that. And those two are becoming great friends. Those two are really bonded. And it's really cool to see Yoshinobu Yamamoto kind of be a little more himself this season. And hey, he's juggling baseballs. He's juggling these lineups. And we're going to see him on Friday go up against Paul Skeens in the showdown of the season so far. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. A super chat. Pocket Rude Boy 199 says, my quads are fire. I don't know about that. Give you a bruh for that one. Aaron says, do you juggle tortas like that? No comment, but I mean, I can't really juggle a torta, man. I mean, it's tough to juggle food for sure. You lost on purpose from NS. Ray Soda. D-Mac does that at Chuck E. Cheese. We've got Jay Silva. We got the Showtime Mookie going yard. Steve Schmidt. I'm impressed. Okay. But that's going to be this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you have not yet, do me a huge favor. Subscribe to my new channel, The Big Lead. It's the hottest stories in sports in less than an hour. And we're doing a giveaway over there for my Lakers fans, a Luka Doncic Lakers jersey. So definitely join that. Also, the Discord channel, VIP Nation access, $6.99. And you get behind the scenes stuff, exclusive merch, Q&As. You can call into the show. So definitely be sure to do that. And also keep coming with those fan cave submissions. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. See you guys after the game for the post-game show. And remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.